July 30th, 2016. What a day it has been. I got up pretty early. Yeah, pretty early, I think. I can't even remember what time it was, but it must have been around 6 o'clock, probably before, actually. And then I got myself sorted and just barely made it onto the bus that I had booked for 8 o'clock. And it was on the other side, I'm going to say the other side of the city. And it involved a couple different trains to get there, and it was part of the city that I wasn't really familiar with. It was a whole lot of unknown. On Google Maps it was showing up as a skate park. So I just thought, oh, I should probably leave some extra time, and I'm really happy I did, because it was definitely needed. I grabbed some food while I was waiting for one of the trains, and so thankful that I did. It wasn't much. It was one little croissant, but where do I even start? So I got on the bus. It was another Flixbus, and it was only about 25 euros to get from Paris to London. And I had assumed that meant... So originally I wanted to take... I'm going to do some backtracking, but originally I had wanted to go into the Channel Tunnel and go underneath from France to England. And then when I saw that was about 150 euros, I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I will, however, take the bus, which I thought drives up to Calais and then takes the ferry across to Dover, and then you continue on the bus up into London. So I thought that, as an alternative, that's pretty cool and so much cheaper. And I thought, oh, I'll get to see the white cliffs of Dover and get to have probably lunch on the ferry, and it'll be a whole lot of lovely. And so the bus headed out, and we went up just pretty much to the border of Belgium. Belgium is where we were on the border of. And then we went sort of up northwest from there to Calais. I was like, oh, this is great. Because Flixbuses do not stop for no food, no toilet breaks, no nothing. And it was an 8-hour scheduled bus trip. But yeah, like I said, I thought, oh, part of that will be standing around and waiting for whatever ferry we're meant to be on. And then once you're on the ferry, you can eat on the ferry as well. And I just thought, oh, it'd be such a easygoing kind of day. And then so we got up to Calais, and then we had to do border crossings, which was really weird because when I flew into Athens, I think I must have done some sort of immigration there. But it would have been in Belgrade. That's right, yeah, in Belgrade. It was the first time that I had done any sort of immigration into Europe. And then from there on in, it's been borderless. You know, like even from Greece to Italy, flying in to the airport there, you don't get a little Italy stamp in your passport, or you don't have to answer any questions or fill out any forms. It has surprised me as to how integrated it is. Nobody questions you. There's no border checks or customs or anything like that, except on today's trip. So you go through, it's kind of like going through Canada and America, where you, is it? So yeah, so you stop, you get stopped first by France, and then you have to say, oh, I'm leaving the country. And then they say, yep, you're good to go. And then you get back on the bus, and then you go a little bit further, and then you get off the bus again, and then you go and the British immigration says, what are you doing in Britain, and blah blah blah, what are your plans, and questions you there. And at each time you have to wait for everybody on the bus to get off the bus so the customs people can inspect it, and then so it's quite a process. And so when we got to the Britain one, apparently they were about to decline 2 people from entering Britain. And then, so that held us up for about an hour. And when I was talking to the driver, I said, "Oh, so what ferry are we going to be on?" And he said, "Oh, we're not." And I said, "Oh?" And he said, "Yeah, we're not taking a ferry today." I said, "Oh, tell me more, tell me more." He said, we're actually going in the tunnel." And it had never occurred to me that just because I wasn't a passenger in a train, on the Eurostar train going through the tunnel, didn't mean that I wouldn't be going on any train in the tunnel. So he said we had well and truly missed this one train. And then I asked how many trains are there, and he said, "Oh, they leave every half an hour, but I couldn't book us a spot in the next one, and so we'll have to see if the one after that is available." And it was really cool, because when we finally made it there was like the insides of a ginormous train were just gutted, and we drove our bus onto the train. And it was like I don't know how to describe it. It's like this great big shell, like you're in the hull of a ship or something, and then the bus just, because it's a double-decker intercity bus, so we just fit in, and then they lock up sort of the compartments with like a garage door thingy. And then you can get off the bus, and there's only a little tiny bit of room between the bus and the walls of the train. I took a picture. I think I took a video as well, so I'll put that up. So it's probably a whole lot better than any words that I'm using right now. And then, so there's toilets at each end of this train that only carries cars and trucks and everything. And then it's got little windows, so I got off the bus and stared out the window, and then I saw us go down, and then it was just underground the whole entire time, obviously being a tunnel between the 2 countries. And so the good thing was that I actually went in the Channel Tunnel, which I had really, really wanted to do. That was the amazingness. The flip side of that was that I had eaten at 7 o'clock in the morning, and because I was running so late to catch the bus, and I was literally running to get on the bus, so I didn't have time to stop in at a supermarket or anything to get food. So I had an empty bag, and I was on this bus, and at nowhere, like border controls, nowhere was there any food or anything that I could have. And so, also on this train, like, there's no passenger services aside from toilets at each end. And so, under we went, and then that took about 45 minutes through the tunnel, and then we came up, and then we promptly got stuck in London traffic. They had closed a few of the bridges and the streets and stuff, so that added an extra hour or 2 there, and it was just, it was kind of cool. Like, the flip side of that was that we went through, what was it, like Piccadilly Circus and Oxford Street and so many of these famous London places. So it was like being on a tour bus, except that I hadn't eaten in 11 hours, and I was ready to get off the tour bus. And I actually went down, I went down to the bottom level and talked to the driver, and I'm like, "I've got no luggage. Could you make a stop for me?" And he said no. And I'm like, "Could you just maybe, like, leave the door open?" and then if somebody steps off, then it's their own fault. And And he's like, no, I cannot open these doors. And so we really did. We sat in traffic for like 2 hours getting through London to the coach station.